the truth. It's the truth. It's the true kind of love. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the true kind of love.
Prickly Pear made me see more of Steven's side despite his selfishness, because when he tries to grow plants and he accidentally grew a plant with his saliva to the point that the cat, this Steven that he called him, is talking the same ways as he is when it comes to his opinions towards Garnet, Amethyst, and Paul. He still tries to prevent his words and from Cat to this Steven in front of Amethyst, Garnet, and Paul. I really feel like that when people stated that Steven should have come clean, he's just trying his best to be his own character by moving forward. Like, for how he was established and his goals from the original series, it's not like that he's going to be mature like Amethyst, which I can totally understand as to why he acted the same way when he described how mature Amethyst was, or is. The Crystal Gems in this episode, for how they're being a little concerned of Steven's hobby being a little too obsessive by calling plants Beach City citizens, which is awkward and creepy. I really feel like that Steven is trying to cope, but at the same time, he can't be able to come up with his own names, knowing full well that he never went to school unlike Connie. And trust me, every time I think about Steven not going to school, it made me understand as to why he made the choices of proposing to Connie despite being underage, as well as himself being underage, and the fact that the stuff that he's experiencing when it comes to his threats that intimidate him and the stuff that he went through that really traumatized him. Honestly, where else can he go when all of this is inside of his brain? Cactus Steven, with him being mostly grown older and bigger when it comes to the following days of this episode, I really got the impression of how Cactus Steven being a threat that the Crystal Gems never fought. Maybe understand that this is taking inspiration of how the Crystal Gems will react in scenarios in previous seasons, mainly the earlier ones. And when it comes to Cactus Steven himself, or itself, it showed to me that he isn't like the Watermelon Stevens. Not even close. And for how he's been mimicking the same sentences as Steven in front of the Crystal Gems, and the Crystal Gems are mostly confused to the point that Steven didn't ask them on the whole situation is when Paul and Amethyst told him about what is really going on. I really feel like that the time of Steven telling the Crystal Gems the truth just isn't really the time, judging of how that he wants to move forward before making a mistake that leads to multiple mistakes. I really feel like that the dialogue and the interactions from other characters really feel natural, knowing full well that Steven is trying to handle the situation by himself. But no matter what he does, due to the circumstances of people moving forward with their own future, and he's trying to provide his own future by growing plants that didn't work out for him, I really feel like that he can't be able to avoid his problems forever when it has nothing to do with Pink Diamond. And let me tell you, I'm fully aware that the stuff that Steven went through has nothing to do with Pink Diamond, and this episode is an example of that. On the contrary, I am aware that people's critiques centering around Steven's responsibility is important, and you can't be able to put all the blame on Pink Diamond. And whenever I look at Steven in this, he's mostly responsible for the situation that he's in, but at the same time, when you come to his terms on his decisions on which direction he wants to go forward when it comes to his future, I don't even feel like that he would probably find a proper future if he was an ordinary human. And believe me, once we get into the Mr. Universe episode, is an indicator of how he can't be able to see the life of what Greg had in comparison to the life that he ends up getting. And even though that his life as a hero of the galaxy or universe is really good, it's simply the biggest obstacle that he can't control of. And with it being mostly Pink Diamond causing all this stuff to Steven, at the same time, you can't be able to move forward from anything that you have no control of. Which is in the same scenario as what Greg went through. But believe me, once we get into Mr. Universe, you'll understand as to why I found that episode as the most divided, but nowadays not really divided. I'm giving this episode a 7.5 out of 10.